Whoa.
Hey everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 172 for February 3rd, 2016. If I look scared, it's because this is potentially the most explosive What Drives Us episode you have ever watched. So let's get right into it. Not only am I here, my name is Russell Frost. I'm from the PriusOwnersGroup.com, and you can visit me there and hear me rant even more if you're really into that kind of abuse. But my co-conspirator, but he's not wearing camouflage, he's not carrying an assault rifle, and he's not in rural Oregon. His name is Danny Cooper.
Hello, everybody. I do have my Prius hat on.
Wow. Nice.
And I promise that one day we will no longer be low-tech with our theme song. We will go back to the way that we used to produce the show.
Yes.
Does that mean you're the king of Prius? Is that?
Harsh words have been thrown at me before.
Wow.
I hear your kingdom's shrinking.
Okay, save it for the story. Let's. So you can tell already. There's a little pent-up energy here tonight. So let's get this ball rolling. In the north corner, they call him. I don't know what they call him. The Canadian Storm. His name is Mark Coughlin.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the show, and looking for a good fight tonight. Here we go. Ding ding.
Exactly, and weighing in at I don't know what, but horrifyingly much less than me, our most reflective fighter of the evening, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
I got nothing.
Yeah, but I do want to, and this is compliment of Patrick, that he sent this link. I knew it was coming, but I didn't see the official announcement. But this is the Chicago tidbit. Chicago is ordering 20 to 30 electric buses, estimated to cost $30 to $40 million. Hopefully some federal funding will help take care of that. They've been testing 2 of these electric buses, and they've run 25,000 miles, in-service miles, carried about 100,000 passengers on 13 routes, and they are sufficiently impressed with them. And so the Chicago mass transit is becoming further electrified. It's a pretty exciting thing.
Is that like your 2-minute topic?
I need to clarify, those are battery electric buses, not the trolley type of buses like in San Francisco.
Oh, yeah, correct. Battery electric with 230 miles to a charge. It's not a 2-minute topic. It got downgraded to my Chicago tidbit.
In the upper left-hand corner of the United States, we have with us Mr. Patrick Connor.
Hello from Portland, a city that was named by a coin flip and almost named Boston. There you go.
And right down the middle, on one side of the Continental Divide, but is it the right side of the Continental Divide or the wrong side? I'm not really sure. We'll go to him for comment on this, Mr. Paul Guzik.
From the correct side of the Continental Divide.
Is Trump going to build a wall and keep you on that side?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's it.
It'll be the best wall ever
It'll be
built.
easy, though, because he'll just, like, fill in the holes between the mountain peaks, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
With the bodies of his enemies, I'm sure. Yeah. Well, let's get rolling on 2-minute news topics. Mr. Connor, why don't you kick it off?
Okay, so mine is from EV Obsession, which I've been accused of, and it's got a long title here. After years of passive-aggressive contempt, German companies are now trying to take credit for Tesla's success. and this is from January 30th. I've got a nice picture of a Model X in there, and I'll read you just a bit of it. So one of the ways they're trying to claim credit is that Tesla gets parts from hundreds of vendors, and there was a chart of how many various parts. For example, the LED headlights they use are the same ones that Audi uses, although they're slightly configured differently. So it says the electronic steering is provided by German supplier Bosch Mobility Systems. Without that component, Tesla's electronic assistant wouldn't work. And they go on to mention they have sensors and radar and other things that they all get from Germany. So without Germany, there would be no Tesla. There you go.
That makes perfect sense.
Can these guys? I got nothing.
Yeah, they say veiled contempt for the company, and now everybody wants to be on the winning team now that they're doing well. It's like, oh yeah, but and that's us too.
Well, and how disingenuous is that? Because every car company sources parts from other companies. Every car company on the planet sources parts from third-party vendors.
I saw an article not that long ago that said the primary contribution that an individual manufacturer has for the car is pretty much just powertrain, and that's pretty much it.
Right, they've outsourced everything else.
Yeah. Everything else is outsourced, yeah.
Right.
Even primary parts of design work.
Well, Tony...
It is funny that they mentioned German, though, because it wasn't the German vendor that has kind of screwed Tesla on the Model X
doors.
Yeah.
But no talk about that. You don't want to mention the doors. Stay away from the doors.
What's that, like a Brooklyn German accent?
I have no idea.
Nobody knows.
Das ist nicht richtig.
Yeah, it's a non-Russell American accent. That's all I know. That's the only thing I can do. It could be English, it could be Turkish. I'm not sure.
Any accent I do eventually comes out as Scottish, so there you go.
Yeah. It's not Scottish, it's crap. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Tony Schaefer, take it away. It's a smooth transitions. That's what sets this show apart.
Yeah, and like I said, I was going to do the buses, but I figured there wasn't enough to even fill a 2-minute topic. So they got downgraded, and I'm going to...
And now you have... Okay, well then I'll just go to Mark. That's okay.
So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to transfer my remaining time to the Honorable Mark Coughlin.
Well, thank you. My 2-minute topic is on France's decision to pave 1,000 kilometers of solar roadways. Solar freaking roadways.
That's the first sentence in the story.
It's an interesting. Obviously, that I hope they've done some real analysis on this, because there's been other reports of it not going so well in other places. But they're going to be using a system by Wattway Solar Pavement, and they will be implementing this over the next 5 years on multiple roadways throughout France. So hopefully things go well. The road's just sitting there anyways. If it can collect some energy based on the cost of it, I'm all for it. I hope it turns out really well.
Isn't the cost going to be like $1 million per mile or something crazy?
I'm sure that the cost is not mentioned. Maybe that's the reason why, Paul. But it appears that they're going to move ahead with this test, and it's quite a substantial test. So I'm kind of surprised with the amount. So I got to believe that someone's done some cost analysis based on that amount of kilometers.
Yeah, what's the normal cost for just asphalt? It's probably about the same.
It actually does cost about $1 million a mile to pave up.
Yeah.
Does it really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. That's interesting. And forgive me for seeming like a shill. I'm just really excited that somebody's finally going to put this stuff to the test in a bigger way than 100 feet along
a bike path.
A bike path or something.
Right.
I mean, of course it's going to be expensive and it's going to be fraught with problems, and that's good because we need to start doing this to see if it's a legitimate alternative.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it kind of interesting to see that they're starting to roll this out, and I'll be watching for updates as time goes along. I had another quick 30-second topic. Just wanted to let you know that that Volkswagen, one of our favorite sponsors of the show, they have
That's called a contributor because they can contribute lots of content.
They have decided to move ahead with the Buddy. So they are going to put a Buddy-type vehicle into production by 2020, they're saying. So it may not be exactly like the Buddy shown at CES earlier or late last year. Or was it early this year? I guess it's early this year.
Yeah.
But it'll be similar to it, using the same frame and battery placement that was shown in this demonstration model. So kudos to Volkswagen.
Mark, did you get to see that thing? Was it at Detroit?
That did not come to Detroit, no.
Okay. Does anybody have a feel for whether that is like what the size equivalence is? Because in the pictures, to me, it looks like a Mazda 5.
Yeah, it
size.
looks small.
Yeah. In
It
the
does.
article here, it does say that people were comparing it more to a large version of the Scion XB,
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
and I'm hoping I'll be going to the Chicago Auto Show next Friday. Crossing my fingers that maybe they'll have one there.
Ah, very
You mean
cool.
the one?
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, calling it a bus is just wrong. Even a microbus, it's not a bus of any sort.
Right.
Bud E.
God.
I just heard Pauly Shore. They got to hire him for ads now. That's just so lame.
Right.
Buddy. I know. You have to want to say it like that.
Yeah, it's almost like they were trying to tap into the Wall-E thing, but it just failed miserably.
Didn't quite get there.
Yeah.
That's so horrible. Well, let's. I think that's it for our 2-minute topics. Thank you, gentlemen, one and all. Let's move on to our main news topics this week. One of the reasons that Mr. Cooper was joining us this week, it came out on. There was a really interesting article in the Automotive News on February 3rd. Hey, that's today. Go figure.
Wow.
We're fast.
That Toyota and there's is considering killing the Prius V, and maybe this could mean an end to the Prius family. Jim Lentz is quoted in the article, as is Bill Fay, the Toyota division vice president, I believe. So this is sort of an interesting turn of events, and it really. We almost have to talk about the other big Toyota news about Toyota killing something, which is Toyota's announced today that they're going to kill Scion.
Yeah, not a good day for Toyota cars.
Well, or a very good day for the ones that are still standing.
Well, technically, the Scion cars are still going to stand. They're just going to be rebadged as their Toyota equivalents as they are in other worldwide markets. Like the FRS is the GT86 in other parts of the world. The IM
RS.
is the Toyota Iris,
RS.
the friend of the show.
Uh-huh.
It's an Aris.
Don't they already sell those here?
No, that's a Yaris.
Oh.
And I think they're actually killing that car.
It's the arse.
Yeah, you can't have the Yaris and the Aris in the same market.
Sure, yeah. You can have a
Yars, it's an Rs.
Okay,
Arse.
so I'll hit you. Okay, so Danny, so you kind of like smoothed it over, said, "Oh, well, wait, Toyota's not doing anything drastic. They're going to rebadge everything." But wait, they're not going to rebadge everything, are they? And specifically, which car are they going to kill? The TC.
Yeah, I think it was on the killing block before, though. I think they had said a while ago that this was going to be the last year.
What does Toyota have against the whole super concept?
I like the TC. I thought the TC looked sharp. I thought it was, and I realized that Scion was like quirky and whatever, but the TC maybe was not quirky enough because I thought it was the most normal looking Scion in the fleet.
Yeah.
Well, I think the FRS has taken that position, and It is what it is. The Scion sales for last year were actually fewer than the sales of one model, the Toyota Avalon, last year.
Which there's not many grandpas buying Avalon.
No, which I mean they've improved the Toyota Avalon,
Right.
but still, it should not be outselling like 4 or 5 products.
Yeah.
And this is something that was, I bet a lot of dealers had something to do with this. I bet there were some discontent among dealers that they had to have these separate Scion little boutique areas set up in their dealerships, but they don't have an Avalon specific little boutique set up in their dealership. So I think that was probably just the square footage requirement was becoming an issue.
Maybe they'll rebrand the Scion dealerships as Prius dealerships.
Right. To
Or maybe not.
The 1 or 2 remaining Prius brands.
Well, which brings us to them killing off the V, potentially.
Yeah. Strong potential. It sounds like.
Well, I think here's the thing. The V has always been my favorite Prius. The favorite Prius I've ever owned was probably my 2006, then my plug-in, then my 2010. But the V is probably my favorite design Prius out there. Just the fact that it was so versatile. That's what the V's for.
I thought it's called the Prius 5.
It's been 4 years. Let's get past that. But I thought it was the best. It was the best one. Real world MPG, I don't think ever lived up to what the lowly EPA numbers were, which was like 42, 44, I think.
Yeah, 44. Yeah.
Yeah. Which when I drove it on the interstate, the highest I ever got going between North Carolina and Florida on the interstate was like 40, 41. So all the other Prius brands, I've driven the C and the standard Prius and the plug-in on those same roads, and I've always exceeded the EPA. So I've always felt that it was kind of an underperformer, and now with the RAV4 hybrid coming out, that is kind of an overperformer. It's got a lot of the features that people want in the V, but also were missing when they went to the V, like all-wheel drive. It's got the size, it's got the room, it's got that kind of raised feel that everybody seems to like right now with the crossover utility vehicles. And it's got very similar MPG. I mean, the rated MPG on the RAV4 is 34, but I think in real world we're going to higher numbers as these cars get out there. And in just the second month of sales, it's already outselling the Prius V.
So
now, what was the just real quick, if you don't mind, what was the price of the V, Danny?
Started at 28 or 26.
Yeah, it was like 20, 25, 26.
Between 26 and 32, and the RAV4 starts at 28 and goes to 35.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was going, because if you're going to replace, if you're going to like kill one brand and say, oh well, this other one's going to fill in, but there's this price difference.
But that's assuming that people are coming in shopping for the Prius V. And what's happening with RAV4, I think, is that people are coming in shopping RAV4, and then they're seeing the very small price difference that there is between a standard RAV4 and a RAV4 hybrid, and they're saying, I might as well go for the RAV4 hybrid. It's got everything I want, plus it's got the hybrid component. Now, Prius V buyers, there's very few people that go in looking for one car and come out buying a Prius V. Prius V is what I would determine to be like a destination vehicle. Like you're going into a dealership to buy that car.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
No, I think it's unfortunate because I think some of Toyota's strategy has been way off. They made the decision not to bring the lithium-ion Prius V here.
Ding.
That had the third row of seats. I think that that could have been it still would have been a niche car, but I think it would have been something that would have differentiated the car from the rest of the pack.
Ding ding.
Yeah, the Prius Plus in Europe is listed as a 7-seater.
So Toyota stacks the deck against the Prius V, in a sense, by importing and opening for sale a very specific version of it, and then arguably the shape that apparently every American consumer really wants is a crossover. We talked about this a couple of months ago, and I don't remember if you guys all saw the pictures that were with the article, but an article took like the 30 most popular crossovers and did them as silhouettes, and it literally almost looks like 30 of the same car.
Wow.
When you're not seeing the differentiating details, you're just seeing the outline of that shape. That little, kind of crossover shape is what apparently everybody loves. That configuration.
Maybe my wife has already said that she wants a CRV when we're done with the van.
Wow.
Sorry, Paul.
I was going to say, I haven't seen the RAV hybrid, but I can't imagine it having more room than the Prius V. I mean, the Prius V is like a spaceship inside. I mean, it's tons of room for people and cargo. Do people just want the high ride height and SUV type form factor? I don't know.
I think that's a lot of it.
Yeah, I think the high ride is what's really popular out there. People like to be above the traffic.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, without getting too specific and anecdotal, I know people who specifically want that style, whatever it is, whether it's a RAV or a CRV or something else. They want that configuration.
Yeah.
What worries me about this is number one, Toyota's lack of dedication to the Prius brand, especially just a few years ago coming out and, we're going to make Prius the center point, the centerpiece of all of our brands, and it's going to be the biggest seller. And, a few years later, they've had a couple of rough years and gas prices are dirt cheap and, maybe we were just talking out of our butt. We're going to make C and standard and okay.
You do have to follow the market. I mean, I don't really blame them too much for that.
Well, if you have a strategy, you really should stick with it for a while. And like Russell said, with gas prices, this is not a real good measure of what its long-term potential is at all.
Wait. Cooper, you didn't just say that Toyota is following the market, did you?
I did say that they're following the market.
I'm sorry, can I just rebut that with one word?
Don't say Mariah, because that's...
millions of dollars, and they're following the market that they're trying desperately to create.
Well, I was going to say that if they were actually following the market, they would have put more than 13 miles of electrification in the plug-in.
Right.
Bingo.
Yeah, maybe they shouldn't have wasted all that R&D money and time on the Mirai and put it into some of these things.
And how about smartphone integration?
A fun rant, yes. Nobody asked for that, ever.
No.
No one cares about that. Our customers don't care about that.
I'm picking on you because you're the only one who's arguing something that I'm not 100% behind.
Who has smartphones these days? I mean, God.
And who would ever want it to connect to their car?
That's a fad.
Here's what I think I'll say. Whatever we're talking about right now, the decision's already been made.
Oh, sure.
I mean, whether second generation V is getting built or not has already been decided. And because, let's see, we're like 2 years from there really needing to be the second generation on the lots. So, and the other thing to keep in mind is that this is a worldwide decision to make. It's not just U.S., which Automotive News article made it sound like very U.S.-centric. It's not. This car is available in Europe. This car is available in Japan. The Toyota Aqua, which is the Prius C, is one of the top-selling cars in all of Japan. So that car is definitely getting a second generation.
Right.
Like we've talked about on the show before, if that car wants to be under the Prius nameplate, it's got to kind of up the ante with what it offers. We've had problems with that car from the beginning. Mostly, it all starts with that damn traditional shifter on the floor. But anyway, these are
Yeah,
cars that are not just U.S. centric. You know, this is not. I don't know what's a U.S. centric car, Tundra or something like that. So.
Right. Well, I guess.
And I, if you're going to break up the brand, then don't even keep the C. Call it an Aqua. Call it whatever.
Well, and that,
else.
Tony, I think that's a good point because honestly, Prius C is a horrible Prius. It should have been the Auris hybrid or whatever.
Well, and that actually would be interesting is if they replace the Prius C instead of bringing the second generation Aqua over here, if instead they replaced it with the Auris.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Paul.
I was just saying, and if they really wanted to build the Prius brand, they would have called it the Prius crossover instead of the RAV4 hybrid. You know,
Yep.
that would have really done a lot to broaden the Prius name. But they purposely chose not to do it because they probably feel there's more brand value in RAV4 than in Prius.
Because C was already taken. Duh.
But Paul, that's a really good point, and I'm glad you brought it up because honestly, is RAV a national brand name that people understand?
What does it mean?
But does anybody want to say, yeah, RAV is, people get RAV?
I mean, I think it's recognized. I mean, the thing is it's the form factor right now. Thanks to gas prices, thanks to American psyche, whatever you want to call it, it's that car is what fits in with what is selling like hotcakes right now.
Right.
And just to answer Paul's question about like capacities and whatnot, the cargo volume of the RAV4 hybrid is 35.6. And the cargo volume of the V is 34.3.
Wow.
So it's slightly bigger still.
I would have thought the V had more room. What about people space?
Passenger volume is 97.2, and they declined to provide that information with RAV.
Okay.
I bet it's smaller on the RAV. That's the give.
Yeah, I get the feeling that it's smaller.
My concern here is, again, I just think Toyota's lack of, I don't expect them to lose money. You know what I mean? Although they certainly have no problem doing it with other projects. I don't expect them to lose money so that they can, but I do expect them to show the same kind of dedication to Prius that they showed in the first 10 years. I don't expect them to just go, okay, hey, it was great, it worked wonderfully. We built this huge brand that's globally recognized now. It's like Kleenex, it's like Xerox. It means hybrid car.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to keep in mind that this was about where gas prices were when Toyota introduced the Prius.
Right.
It's interesting you say that. I was just thinking about that the other day, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, they dedicated how much money to bringing that car to market.
But there was a very upward trend coming in gas prices at that time, and car companies have to look at like probably a 5 or 10 year timeline, and right, like from everything I've heard, the 10-year timeline for gas is not astronomically high.
Right, because oil's not going anywhere. So
I mean, they're still making oil, right?
Till we get a carbon tax.
There's still dinosaurs making oil down there.
Yeah, unlimited. From what I'm pretty sure it came up in a GOP debate that it was unlimited oil.
I got nothing. I really don't. I mean, the Scion thing I get. I do, and I think it's a shame in a way. But you know what? You try things, and you spend a ton of money building a brand. And I know that I don't think Toyota got with Scion exactly what they were hoping for.
Well, I read somewhere today that they were targeting it at millennials, and the average Scion buyer was like 47 years old or something.
At least. Yeah.
It was popular with the retirees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is,
Right,
yeah.
right.
The retired millennials.
Right, who love like the XB. You see more of those darn
Oh, yeah, yeah.
XBs running around down here in Florida. You know, which is the leisure and decay capital of the planet. Thank you very much.
Leisure and decay.
Is
We are
that on the
filling
flag?
restaurant parking lots at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
It's on their license
So-
plate.
I get Scion, and anyway, there, you know, it was as Danny pointed out to me this afternoon, which I never really thought about. I mean, Scion's a U.S. brand. They make all these cars, or most of these cars, in other places under the Toyota badge.
Right.
Is that correct, Mr. Goop?
That's correct.
Okay. So
So they're
really,
really only killing the badge, right?
it's really killing
And
the
the
badge
TV
and
was
the
already-
duplication within the
that was the next
dealership.
He was the only Scion.
Yeah.
It's like Plymouth is gone, but Dodge and Chrysler still exist.
Yeah.
And what's the difference?
But there, speaking of Dodge, I mean, there is an interesting kind of thing that we're seeing in the industry right now, where Dodge is getting rid of the Dart and the
Right.
200,
Yeah.
because sedans just aren't selling.
Yeah.
I think the Prius has done as well as it's done, and that's like the faintest praise I can provide it. Because it's a more unique vehicle in the marketplace.
But less unique now, and that's the
Definitely.
sad part. And that's what scares me, is that it's not. It's Toyota's fault Prius is where it is. The concept of a hybrid hasn't been invalidated somehow. You know, a depressed gas price certainly doesn't encourage hybrid sales. But there's other reasons to buy fuel-efficient vehicles. So, you know, and shame on Toyota for just wanting to take the easy road in a way and going, screw it, sell the CUV.
Well, it makes me wonder, like, how much of this article was a automotive news writer who is like, you know, I've got a thought here. Maybe Toyota should kill the Prius family, and then he, you know, got some quotes to kind of back up what his premise was, or if there's actually something out of Toyota that has led people to think about this. I mean, we've been thinking about it for a few months, just because second generation is coming up, and I mean, I even questioned some of the Toyota folks when I was out in California in November about, like, you know, when are we going to start seeing some stuff about it, and non-committal is probably the best way I can put it.
Yeah, they slept through the whole 15 years of Prius and a new generation, and it's going to be a Super Bowl commercial. That's where they're dumping all of their money, in a Super Bowl commercial.
That's where they dumped a lot of money back in 2004. And look what it did for the Prius then.
But it was fairly unknown at that point, right? Like, it was.
Well, so is this Prius, though. I mean, the 2016 Prius is very different, and Tony might be able to attest to that, or not, or contradict what I'm saying. But
yeah, I'll talk more.
I think they're kind of reintroducing the Prius, I guess, is the best way to put it, Mark.
I want to toss one thing in before we start talking about the 2016. In this article, since you brought it up, Bill Fay is quoted, and I quote, "Given all the changes in consumer preferences right now, I don't think we're forecasting the Prius to be our top volume seller anymore." That's what bugs me, because that's a scary quote, in my opinion.
Well, that gets back to the gas prices. They're low and they're not projected to go up, so that's going to have an impact. And the fact that they don't have a plug-in with a decent range for the people that are looking to go that way, even more eco-friendly than a Prius.
I don't want to get too into the weeds, but we talked about this a few weeks ago when we were talking about gas prices, and I understand the predictions, who knows what. I never would have predicted this, and if somebody had asked me 2 years ago that gas would be at $1.64 a gallon today, I'd be like, you're insane.
Yeah.
But the Saudis can only afford to keep this strategy up for a certain amount of time. I don't know what that timeline is, but it's not 10 years, and it's not forever. So at some point, gas is going to go back up. It has to.
That's what
That's a-
happens with finite resources, right?
Well,
No.
this isn't even about the amount of the resource that's generally available. This is about an oil producer wanting to depress the energy market so that natural gas isn't as competitive and that locally produced oil isn't as competitive with their product. They're basically trying to put other energy producers out of business.
And they have.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like the premise of a Bond movie there, Russell.
Maybe 2 Bond movies.
Well, it should be interesting to see. I mean, we'll know, I think, within the next year what's going to happen with
Right.
both of these models. They both came out in 2012, so they're likely to extend them out until the 2018 year.
I wonder what will happen this year. I mean, hasn't the Prius regular been the best-selling car in California the last couple of years? Best-selling sedan.
I think the Camry may have toppled it at one point. I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
If you can't get carpool stickers with it anymore, that's over.
But yeah,
That's
I
been
mean,
over
remember
for a long time. But
the Prius
Well,
was
it's the
outselling,
plug-in.
yeah, plug-ins.
the Prius was outselling Corolla and was close to coming up on Camry a few years ago,
Right.
and now it's RAV that is well within Corolla. And they were saying that at the press event in November that they wouldn't be surprised if RAV was the best seller for Toyota
Wow.
by the end of this year. Now, they said the same thing about Prius a few years ago, so
Right.
what the hell does Toyota actually know?
Yeah, they may not be as good at predicting as well as they like.
Mhm.
Yeah, like you said, who knows what's going to happen? It's impossible to predict it.
I'm surprised, Cooper, you're not more upset about Scion for some reason.
I don't know, I've never really cared about the Scion experiment.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of poorly executed, as well as they executed the Lexus plan, which was
Right.
a U.S. idea that they decided to do globally. As well as they executed that, I thought they executed the Scion thing very poorly. Scion would have been their opportunity to find a way to shake up these the way that these franchise agreements are done, that people being able to order your car online and having it delivered, all this kind of stuff. If they launched Scion today, they would probably try,
Right.
and they'd figure out a way to keep the dealership in the middle somehow. But Scion has always kind of had fixed pricing as part of their mantra.
Right.
Kind of like
Yeah.
the Saturn experiment that also is dead.
Hmm.
Thanks,
Well, Tony,
Gino.
let's talk about the 2016 Prius, since we're that kind of dovetailing into that. You've had one for what, the last week and a half?
Yeah, so I got it 2 Fridays ago and drove it over the weekend. Then I drove it all last week, and then this past weekend, and I give it back on Friday, so 2 days from now.
And is it
And-
just for evaluation or rental car?
Yeah, and I'll be writing a review and putting it up on What Drives the Site, and probably also the Prius Owners Group site.
I thought you were doing it for Prius Chat, sir.
Yeah, a little jealousy coming out there.
Well,
no.
I
Don't fight in front of the kids. Just don't fight in front of the kids.
if you want to grease the skids a little, then I can see that.
I got you the car. I thought that was greasing the skids.
Oh, there is that. Okay.
Hey, I sent him $5.
See, that's it.
Well, that was
You
a
know,
whole fill-up right
because-
there.
Yeah. So right off the bat, the thing is, the only thing I have to compare it to is my 2004, which is not really a fair comparison because it's 11 years old and there's a decade of evolution to take place. However, what I think of the trending sentiment on Prius Chat is that there don't seem to be a lot of people who have the Gen 3 who are eyeballing the Gen 4. Instead, it seems to be a lot of the Gen 2 owners, the 2004 to 2009 model years, who were looking at the Gen 4 as their next vehicle. And so I happen to be in that situation. So that's one of the reasons why I have this car. I'll be able to write up a review from the perspective of a Gen 2 owner looking to upgrade.
Right.
As you can imagine, it's night and day. It literally, you wouldn't, don't even call it a Prius from the driving experience
Oh,
compared
stop.
to a
Toyota's
Gen
going to kill the
2.
Prius altogether if you say that.
Yeah. Because, I mean, okay. So first thing, I got it on a Friday, and on Saturday I drove an hour on the interstate to go to my sister's house. Now, when I'm in my 2004 Prius and I'm on the interstate and I'm doing 70 miles an hour, it feels like I'm doing 70 miles an hour, or more like 80. It's you just feel every mile per gallon, and it's like I'm really having to push the car to go.
Right.
And with the 2016, for the first few days, I found myself consistently overshooting the posted speed limits because I was going by tactile instead of what the actual dashboard said, and I was easily blowing past speed limits because it just didn't feel like I was moving as quickly as I really was moving. I tried to express this to somebody who actually, has a non-Prius but a relatively new car, and they just looked at me like I was crazy.
I thought you were going to say you tried to express that to the officer that pulled you over.
Yeah. And it turns out that, any good car should just deliver a smooth ride. It's just my old Ford. Like I said, it just feels like I just constantly have to push the car, and I can really tell when I'm trying to get ahead of speed. But this just drives like butter, really does. I enjoy driving it. I enjoy the hell out of it. So it's
Do
late.
you get many salutes like this from other drivers that you?
No, I leave most people in the dust
You
with this
smug
guy.
guy.
I really do. Yeah, let me get to that. I'll address that, but first let me build up to it in saying that it's late January, early February, and the temperatures have been an almost unseasonable 32, 37 degrees. Now I ran some numbers, and I tracked all of my Gen 4, my Gen 2, my 2004, the tanks, and when the temperature was about 32 degrees, I averaged about, I think, 52 miles per gallon. Well, in this one, I've been getting between 62 and 64 miles per gallon. And I'm not even really working it as much as I know I could work it. But one of the things I can do, Paul, to your point, I was running this car in EV. I was stealthing this car at almost 50 miles an hour.
Wow.
It's got, I mean, the motor is much more powerful, much more. It'll just do much more. So my 2004 would top out at 40, maybe 42 if I'm going downhill, and I have a feather of a foot on the pedal. With the 2016, this is going to sound worse than I mean it, but I'm not holding up traffic because I can, I can be in EV mode at 45, almost 50 miles,
Right.
50 miles per hour. Now, I intentionally drive a route that doesn't have high speeds, but when it is 40 miles per hour, people, of course, want to drive 45. Well, now I can and not have to worry. It's that kind of thing. And the way it slips into EV is just smooth and easy. It's not like the 2004 where you could get into the I forgot what they called it, where you kind of get in the engine spinning lock that you either have to come to a complete stop or exceed 35 miles per hour before it would even think about going into EV mode. This car is just smooth right into EV, and it's got some power behind it.
You really have to pay
great,
attention, don't
great
you?
car. I'm sorry, Danny?
You really have to pay attention to know when it's going in and out.
Oh yeah,
of
you
EV.
wouldn't know. If you weren't watching the display, you really wouldn't know whether the engine was on. The engine is just that smooth too.
Right.
They put a lot of sound deadening up by the firewall, so you don't even hear the engine really when it's running unless you're pushing it really hard. I mean, that's my big thing is I'm just enjoying the hell out of this car. It's a lot of fun to drive. There's some little quirks that I don't care for. One is what I think is an over gamification. There's this, and I first saw it in the Prius C. It gauges your acceleration, your cruising, and your braking, and then gives you a score out of 100. Here's how you did. Whatever, I don't care.
Does your insurance company then send you a score?
Yeah.
The only thing you score is your MPG.
Yeah, well, pretty much.
And that's what I have to figure out, is that like some people must just score things in different ways. Because the i3 has like a very similar thing. Today I got 100% on my score.
Hey, congratulations. What does that mean?
Yeah, I grew a tree. My car.
Yeah.
That's out of the back of the hatch.
Well, see, and here's the thing. The 2016, the best acceleration, because I've had it for now almost 2 weeks, and so I'm like, okay, well, what do I have to do to get, it's in little squares. So I wanted 5 full squares for my acceleration. It is a slow, steady, very slow acceleration. That's what they consider the best acceleration. It has been proven time and time again on Prius chat with some very intelligent people that a brisk acceleration to get up to speed so that you can coast longer is actually a more fuel efficient and better way to accelerate. But when I do that, I get a really bad score. So what the hell, man?
Is that still true with the larger electric motor in this model year? Has it been reconfirmed?
Well, I think I've reconfirmed it. I mean, I've been doing it, and getting, it'll jump up to speed pretty quickly, and then allow me to just really lay off. And watching the power meter, I'm not putting very much effort into the engine at all in maintaining speed, and just kind of rocking that thing.
So bottom line, is it going to be tough to return it?
Well, they'll come after me if I don't. That part's easy.
but would you order one?
You know what? I've not been shy in saying that the 2016 or maybe 2017 is top on my list of next car. We'll have to see. One of the things is they gave me a 2, which is like the lowest.
Not very tempting.
Possible. Yeah.
Right.
And I would get a 4, and then I would throw in some advanced tech package. So I haven't had a chance to see how the advanced tech works. And
is it true that in the 2 the AM radio still has push buttons?
8-track.
Yeah, because of an 8-track, yeah.
No, you get
what
an adapter for the 8-track.
Yeah, you have to turn the knob, and so you find your station, and then you have to push in the knob and hold it in order to program it for that.
That seems kind of short-sighted. If this is a car they're giving out for review, that they would have it so stripped down.
That is so Toyota, though.
Yeah.
You know what? Well, this specific car has its own little story, and I don't know that it's necessarily emblematic of the Toyota press fleet.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, Danny? Danny, who's driven maybe as many Toyota press vehicles as I have. You've probably driven more.
Well, the ones that get sent around to actual press members for like a week at a time or so are usually some lower end cars, which I think especially this time of year with everything that's going on because of the auto shows. So they've got the high end vehicles going around to the auto shows.
Right. Well, and this is a pre-production prototype, correct? Or a production prototype?
Yeah, it is a pre-production. It's got a little sticker on it that says pre-production prototype vehicle. Yeah.
Right.
Which I must say actually earns me some cred with my coworkers. They think that's the coolest thing ever that I'm driving a pre-production. Yeah.
You're in the inner circle, Toyota.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man.
But I definitely I've driven to lunch more in the last 2 weeks than I ever have. Gotten some impressions, and I will say that I've had people, in the car. One person in particular said he was looking at, possibly buying a Prius, and he reached out to me because he knows I know the Prius and I have one, and I said, hey, I happen to have a 2016. So we went out to lunch, and he brought a couple people along, and he, just from riding in the car and looking at it, and we folded the seats so we could see, the storage and everything, and he was pretty much convinced, okay, that sold me. So it sold him, and then the other guys, admitted that they would never have looked at a Prius before, but having ridden in it, they sat in the back seat so they could see the headroom, and they actually said they would now consider this model Prius to be, a potential next car.
Cool.
Very cool. So, Tony, what do you hate about it? Give me just everything. Not everything. Just like what bugs you about it.
It really, for me, it's my dislikes are really just quirky, and I can give you an example. I can give you an example of how quirky I am. If let's see, when you go into EV mode, or you're just driving along and you slip into stealth, the little power bar slides up to 100, or the MPG, instantaneous MPG slides up to 100, and then when you slip out of it, it's not animated. So it's animated up. It's not animated down.
It just jumps.
Yeah, and so I noticed. So I noticed that. I feel that the armrest is a little too short. It's too far back, and it's too short, especially compared to the 04, that not only had the armrest but also the foldable cup holders in front that you could cover up, and I would rest my hand on those, so my entire arm and hand is resting on something. This one, there's nothing. My hand is just kind of flopping.
That's been a Prius problem since in the 2012 they got rid of the extending armrest. Yeah, they've been short ever since.
Does it still have the fabulous reverse beep inside the car?
Well, I will say, and this is one of the things I plan on mentioning and hitting on in my review. So
on what drives us?
On what drives us, and Prius Owners Group. You'll find it at whatdrives.us.
I've got something in my eye. I don't know what it is.
It's a shame that Danny Cooper had to leave us so early.
Yeah. So if you remember, some years ago, Toyota introduced the forward creeping pedestrian sound.
Right.
Pedestrians would actually hear the car when it was running on battery. They took a different approach when the car is backing up in battery. Instead of putting a subtle sound to make the pedestrians aware the car is coming, they went with a high decibel, very annoying beep to annoy the driver as much as possible. That is only audible inside the car. So rather than warning the pedestrian,
well, that's okay. If you're blind and driving the car, you know it's in reverse.
Yeah.
Maybe its real purpose is to prevent people from putting the car in reverse.
Well, it works, man, because I back out so fast now.
And you're killing innocent children behind the car.
I mean, every model of the Prius has the backup camera, and you put it in reverse, and you see, the display changes to the backup camera. For most people, and I'm going to go with 99.97% of the drivers, that's indication enough. For the other 0.3%, it's the little blinking R on the dashboard. and the fact that you manually put it in reverse. The fact that they went with that beep is just beyond comprehension to me. I don't know another other car that has that internal beep.
I would say about 90% of our customers say, "Can you turn off that stupid reverse beep?" Like, and there is a way on Gen 2 and 3. There's a way to disable it.
It's the first thing I do if I ever have to take the battery out. The 12 volt. Yeah. I mean, even before I reprogram the radios, I turn off the beep.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Schaefer, thank you so much, and I look forward
Yeah, I am actually
to.
looking forward to writing it.
Can't wait to read it.
Yeah.
I look very forward to wherever it's published. I will, I'm sure, look forward to seeing it.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's going to be just about everywhere since everyone's paying me the same amount.
Oh, this is going to get ugly, and I don't want to be involved. I was going to go into the next topic, but I don't feel like we have the time. Can we hold off for a week on this?
I think we can hold off on Elon being a prick for a week.
Yeah, let's and maybe we'll have Evan with us so we can make fun of Evan too.
There you go. Yeah, he would enjoy that.
Yeah.
Maybe if he says too many things on the show from now on, he'll get his extra order banned as well. That's a little tease for next week's show.
There you go. There you go. Well, let's do some shout-outs. Mr. Cooper, I want to start with you.
Well, hey everybody! If you are one of the few people who is still buying a Prius, you can check out PriusChat.com.
Oh God!
For all your Prius news and discussion forums and shopping. We are apparently the only place that currently has 2016 Prius accessories right now, because I had not one but 2 Toyota dealerships contact me today trying to get official Toyota accessories from me.
Wow.
So anyway, if you're looking for any 2016 Prius accessories, go to PriusChat.com/shop or any other Prius accessories. We've got them.
I hope you charge them a dealer markup.
I will admit
30% extra for them.
Nothing's below MSRP right now. I will say that, just because of the way that Toyota's pricing everything. Well, that's about all I have this week. Baby number 3 is about less than 2 months away.
Wow! Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah. You don't even look pregnant. That's what's amazing.
I know. I wear it well.
Yeah.
You do have that glow.
Yeah, you do have that glow, but that could be a number of
That's
things.
mostly my anger towards Tony at this moment.
Fueled by hatred. God, such an effective motivator in my life. Well, Mark, what about you, sir?
Just say hello to the Waterloo Regional Voltec group, and we've got another meeting coming up in mid-February. Tony, we were waiting for you. You never showed. I was just kind of disappointed.
Oh man!
He said the
Stop
wait he would show up, and he just didn't show. But
Loser. Tony.
he's got nothing. He's got nothing.
I got nothing. I was too busy driving my 2016.
Well, yeah, exactly. You're too busy driving around your prototype. Ooh.
Yeah.
Mr. Cool Guy. Don't touch my prototype.
It's already 2016. Why don't you have a production car?
Don't ask. It's embarrassing.
Yeah. It's just not as cool when it's actually 2016 to have a prototype after 2016.
Well, that's a good point.
I'm not going there. So, speaking of Tony, talk to us. You got any great shout-outs this week?
Yeah, well, of course, as usual, there is the What Drives Us Facebook page. Head over to facebook.com/whatdrivesus. And, we keep the conversation going there. Patrick is awesome, and I will say that to his face.
Wow. Well, because of the amount he's been trolling me?
Oh, that is so much fun.
Yes, yes. Because most of the
bastard admits
articles, yeah, most of the articles that are posted on the What Drives Us Facebook page actually come from Patrick, and not all of them.
Except the
But,
dumb ones. Yeah, those aren't mine. If you did.
right. And yeah, you know, we always love the interaction, and so I want to give a shout out to Wayne Janik and Sherry Anderson, Barry Gershenfeld, Amy Eichen, Ray Tellingist, and James Rowland, who just this past week, you know, got in on the conversation at the Facebook page.
Leland's gotta be there.
I have to make one note here to Mr. Gershenfeld. I'm ready to meet him on the field of honor anytime he would like for his only drives in power mode remark about me, okay? I caught that.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was awesome. Let's go. Bring it, baby.
Side note, you can now leave it in power mode in the 2016 Prius, and it will remember that when you start the car
It
back up.
returns to the mode that it was in when you turned it off. Yeah.
Just like manual toggle switches. 1960 comes to 2016. Yay! Yay!
I do have one more thing about the what it's. You can go to whatdrives.us, and I have started a weekly series of articles about hypermiling. My first one was hypermiling cardinal rules, in which I try to just lay the groundwork in, you know, how to be a good driver, essentially. Minor disappointment, no comments, not even a single person telling me I'm full of shit, and I really expected that. I was looking for something visceral.
rules.
Tony, you're full of shit.
There you go. It's better than a comment. It's to your face.
Yeah.
Your rules were don't be a jerk, don't be a jerk, and hey, don't be a jerk.
Pretty much. That was pretty much it. Yeah. Because that's really the cardinal rule of driving in general, and that's the key thing. But really, I wanted to dispel the myth that you have to be an ass to get good mileage, and you don't. You just don't. You're making the rest of us look bad.
There were comments, not on the What Drives Us Facebook page. There were comments, just not on the whatdrives.us page, right? So you got some comments on it.
Hey, Tony. Go
Yes,
look at the What Drives Us site in your hypermodeling thing next time you're
You might have just got a comment. Maybe.
I'm here to make dreams come true, my friend.
Scroll, scroll, scroll.
Yeah. Wait for the outrage. Wait for it.
Well, I refreshed
It's down there
everything.
somewhere. Load comments is the button you need to hit. Patrick, while Tony's looking for his team, and I'm here to make dreams come true, talk to us, my brother.
Sure. Yeah, so I've had a Nissan Leaf for almost 5 years now. It'll be 5 years in May. Yep. And so it was one of the first ones over. It made it out of Japan just before the quake hit, and so I'll be doing a 5-year write-up. And I don't think that Prius Chat's going to be clamoring for it. but I might be able to get it posted on What Drives Us.
We have a pretty active Leaf forum, so sure.
Oh, really? That's surprising. Cool. Yeah. As for my other shout-out, as always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. There you go.
Very nice. Thank you, Mr. Connor. And last and not least, Mr. Guzik.
Simple plug, if you're in the Rocky Mountain region and you have a hybrid or an EV, bring it to my shop, Boulder Hybrids, boulderhc.com.
Is it true that you give a discount to militia members?
Yes, and free dildos. And gummy bears. All the gummy bears you can eat.
Yes, exactly. All the laxative gummy bears you can eat. Go ahead, take them from the bowl. Well, let's see. As always, I want to thank Michael Mannering for our theme music. As badly as it is, Michael, I apologize. It's on the phone, baby. You can visit him at manthing.com. As Tony mentioned, facebook.com/whatdrivesus. Go there, interact. You can look at Patrick trying to get me to say something rude, which works usually about once, maybe twice a week. I resist most of the rest of the time. You'd be surprised. There's probably 10 times a week when I'm about to send him a Facebook message. It goes, "You rat bastard." They all start the same. But I don't. I just go, okay, you win. You got me. So that's facebook.com/whatdrivesus. Of course, the main site, whatdrives.us, that Tony also mentioned. You can stream or download our episodes there just as you can from Stitcher or from iTunes. Subscribe, get updated automatically as we upload episodes. Wow. Blah, blah, blah. No one cares about Google Voice number. We don't even talk about that anymore. Because no one called it in 6 years. And yes, we've been doing the show for 6 years.
Oh yeah, when they
6
reintroduced the Dodge Dart in 2012, we talked about how that's not going to last, and well, it lasts twice as long as we thought. But we were here for its birth, rebirth, and death.
And death. It's the second death of the Dodge Dart.
Well, then I'm surprised that we don't have a Google Voice call with an angry caller telling us that we were wrong and we need to do more research.
You guys have no business being wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, we're just a bunch of guys with opinions, okay? It's not much else.
We were eventually right.
Absolutely. So, as always, thanks to all of you who view, who listen, who contribute on the Facebook page, who leave comments for Tony on the What Drives Us thing, on his hypermiling thing. Thanks to all of you. You can find out what we're doing. Oh, I screwed that up. Download us next week and find out what drives us.
Hi-fi.
This is analog digital, folks.
Yeah. See you next week.